Let's get reaction now from former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani. He is joining us on the phone. Your Honor, thanks for being with us. I want to ask you specifically about what Director Comey just said in that soundbite that we played, that they're looking into the investigation. We cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts. As a former prosecutor, would you agree with that assessment by the FBI director?
Well, I think I would focus on an earlier part of what he said, which kind of makes the case very hard to understand why you wouldn't prosecute. He said she was extremely negligent. He used those exact words, extremely negligent. 18 United States Code, Section 793, subparagraph F, makes it a federal crime that anyone being entrusted with or having lawful possession of any national security document who, through gross negligence, permits the same to be removed from its proper place of custody shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years. Now, in finding that she was extremely negligent, he found that she was grossly negligent. Judges uniformly charge juries that one of the definitions of gross negligence is being extremely negligent. So I find it mind-boggling that he would not have recommended a prosecution under 18 United States Code Section 793F when he came to the conclusion factually that she was extremely negligent. Second, although this you could argue there'd be more arguments to this, all of that evidence of how negligent they were and how careless they were, that's what we as prosecutors usually use as evidence of intent. People usually don't tell us they intend to commit a crime. We prove intent with what is called circumstantial evidence. And this case is overwhelmed with circumstantial evidence of intent, including her destruction of 34,000 emails, which in and of itself should be an obstruction of justice.
Mr. Giuliani, President Obama, when he appointed Mr. Comey as FBI director, he called him a man who was fiercely independent. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, first of all, Jim Comey worked for me for 2 or 3 years as an assistant U.S. attorney, and I have great respect for him. But I found his statement impossible to square with the conclusions he came to. First of all, the one clear one about extremely negligent. There's a statute that covers that exactly, which he didn't bother to mention. And secondly, his failure to take into account the overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence of intent.
Are you saying, Mr. Giuliani, that politics played a role in this?
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I have no idea. Maybe I disagree with his judgment on this. I think his judgment is wrong.
But you don't believe this was politically tainted in any way, this final?
How would I know that? How would I know that? I wouldn't know that. I mean, only Jim Comey, Loretta Lynch, Mrs. Clinton, President Clinton, and President Obama can tell you that. I can tell you I do not believe anyone else would have gotten away with this. Well, I wouldn't have gotten away with this if I was in the Justice Department and did this. I also ask you another question. With this record, would she get a top security clearance?
So, Mr. Giuliani,
this is why he didn't answer any questions. I mean, the first question I would have asked him if I was a reporter is this somebody the FBI would give a top security clearance to if she wanted to be Secretary of State again? The answer to that would have been no. She was too darn negligent in handling national security information. I would have asked him, why didn't you indict her under 793? That covers extreme negligence. You just told me she was extremely negligent. I thought his walking out of the press conference was an indication that he didn't have good answers to those questions.
Mr. Giuliani, let me ask you, Donald Trump has seemed to suggest what you are suggesting, which is that it is a rigged system. He says in a tweet, the system is rigged. General Petraeus got in trouble for far less, very, very unfair, as usual, bad judgment. General Petraeus handed over willingly classified information to his biographer and mistress, Paula Broadwell. Do you equate the same thing that that General Petraeus did with what Hillary Clinton did with what Director Comey says was not intentional,
How does he know it's not intentional? You know how you know intent? You know intent from circumstantial evidence. And the circumstantial evidence indicates that it was intentional. If you do it that often, if you do it that frequently, if you do it over and over again, And if you destroy 34,000 emails, that's all circumstantial evidence of intent. So when someone says that she did far worse than Petraeus, what they're talking about is he had 2 documents involved. She had thousands of documents involved, including some of the most secret material that the government possesses. And she handled it in, as Jim Comey says, an extremely negligent manner. That is a clear violation of federal law.
What do you believe, Mr. Giuliani, needs to happen next, sir?
Well, I think the Justice Department has to retain its integrity. How are they going to indict some CIA operative who was extremely negligent in the handling of national security material if they don't indict Hillary Clinton, who they have found out is extremely negligent?
Do you believe that there are rules for regular citizens and those rules are different from the Clintons?
I think there are clearly different rules for the Clintons.
But, sir, by suggesting
what they have gotten away with is mind-boggling.
But, Mr. Giuliani, when you suggest that there are different rules for the Clintons, you're suggesting then that Director Comey is playing by those rules.
I don't know. You're going to have to ask Director Comey. He didn't answer any questions. I don't know what. Maybe he just made a misjudgment. I don't know.
So what does Donald Trump need to do now with this information? What do you think happens next for his campaign?
Well, I've got to tell you this: if there's a Trump administration, I would think his Attorney General will take this case up again. I mean, no one should be above the law. Today, Hillary Clinton was put way above the law. There is, if any rational American knows that an ordinary employee of the Justice Department, the State Department, or the CIA would be indicted for far less than this. I've seen indictments for far less than this.
So do you believe that this is a stain on the U.S. Justice Department?
This is, for me, as a 15-year veteran of the Justice Department, and once having been the third-ranking official, to me this is an embarrassment. And an unwillingness to come to a tough conclusion that is almost a no-brainer when you look at the extremely negligent language and the gross negligence standard in 18 U.S.C. 793, subparagraph F. You can get it on the internet. Go read it yourself.
But, Mr. Mayor, the director said that this investigation was done the right way. Only facts matter, and the FBI found them here in an entirely apolitical and professional way. You disagree with that?
I don't disagree with that. They did find extremely negligent. They just came to the wrong conclusion. The facts they found, I have no dispute with. The facts, to me, say there is a almost textbook violation of 18 United States Code Section 793. The facts also say to me there's overwhelming evidence of intent, particularly since she destroyed 34,000 emails. I seriously doubt that she was destroying those emails because they contained, notes to Hillary about her wedding dress. And I would certainly be more than happy to argue that to a jury. I made arguments like that throughout my career. Destruction of evidence is allowed to be considered evidence of guilty knowledge.
All right. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, we thank you very much, sir, for your perspective. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.